Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thrive, Not Just Survive. Today's edition is a very exciting one, especially if you are an entrepreneur. I wanted to bring a very special guest on. I hope you guys are all doing okay. Today I read this before I actually got up. I was just reading some things that I was going to go over, and I read this really beautiful thing that someone stated in a post, which said the key is not the will to win. Everybody has that. The key is to prepare to win, which is the most important. So today, as I bring Jodi Vetterl on as an entrepreneur, we're going to talk about the preparation, in terms of being in this retreat mode, as I call it, or quarantine or isolation. I wanted to talk to Jodi about the whole notion of the preparation. We've got time now to prepare of what will happen or who we will become or our businesses will become after this. So let me bring Jodi on because I'm excited to have her and for you guys to meet her. Jodi, welcome to Thrive, Not Survive. I'm so glad you're here. I know it's really early where you are. You're in BC, right?
Yes, I'm in BC. And we're sort of usually kind of waking up around this time, but I'm just drinking my coffee and I'm waking up. So I'm all good.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to be here. As we discussed, and you and I have been friends over our book journeys, but I wanted to kind of bring on someone who is running a business during this time and not, you were also blindsided just like everybody else. And I wanted to kind of see from your perspective, just the whole mindset around quarantine.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Nasir, for having me on, obviously. And I'm so inspired by what you're doing. You always have, things going on. I'm watching your cooking show and saw your cooking book, and here you are doing this, and it's really wonderful to see you. And I'm very grateful to be on your show that you've put together here. In terms of this whole quarantine thing and what we're doing now, my life hasn't changed that much actually, because I was pretty much, doing the grind of working my business and getting my business up and running. And so, I'm working from home. I've worked from home for my entire career, for the most part, for 20 years when I was doing software sales. And so there's not been a lot of change for me. What's changed is that my partner, my husband, is home. He is normally, a technical director in sports broadcasts, so big stadium sports and big crowds and, all sorts of, lots of travel. He was going to be in Scotland and Bermuda and, northern BC and all different places. And he's been grounded. Obviously, that whole thing has been shut down. But the nice thing in it is that the beauty in it is that he's been able to spend that time with our son, which has been really, really nice. So he's getting to do the role of stay-at-home dad, and then in the meantime, I've just been just trying to get my stuff out there, because my stuff can really help people during these times.
So can you explain a little bit about what your stuff is? Like first of all, let me just say, this is Jodi's book for everybody, that can see it. Jodi wrote this book and was published in September, if I'm not mistaken, of last year, correct?
Yeah.
And you wrote the book. Why? What was the mission or the purpose behind the book?
Yeah, great question. I basically was working corporate America, like many of us, and doing that grind. And I had a baby in my mid-40s. And when I had my son and I went back after mat leave, I was just really, treading water. I was really tired. I had a manager I wasn't aligned with, and it just started really getting tense and getting frustrating. I was, being in BC, as you can see, it's like we're not in the best time zone when we're dealing with the rest of Canada or, other time zones. And, I was constantly having to do 7 a.m. calls. My daycare didn't even open till 7:30. So it was a real struggle to try and balance it all. And my drive, or my why, really became that I didn't want my son growing up with a mom that felt stressed and haggard and running all the time, hating life, and just not feeling good, and not doing self-care, because I was just trying to make it, keep afloat here. And so I just kind of came to a moment in time where it was like just time to roll up my sleeves and really get myself in check. And so how that played out for me was that I opened up the old handy Excel spreadsheet and started plotting in my numbers of my financial reality check, essentially, and then just kind of really taking a close look at it and seeing, like, do I have I want to say hidden money, but underperforming assets, or things that are locked up. And I'd already been doing some private money lending with some active investors. And so I figured out my financial goals, what it would take for me to have financial independence, and I worked very closely together. And for those of you who don't really know what private money is, it's becoming more mainstream because the banks are tightening up and all these kind of things. So you may have heard that term floating around, but really what it is, it's kind of the same thing as what the banks do. The banks make profit off of net interest margin, which is you put your money in your savings account, they pay you a small interest, they loan that out, they leverage that money out, and they loan it back to their customers in the form of mortgages, card payments, credit cards, all that kind of stuff. And they take a higher interest rate, and then they capture the spread. And what we do as individuals is we loan our money out to real estate investors who are basically buying distressed properties, usually because they're about to be foreclosed on by the bank, and they are renovated, and then they're flipped and then sold. And so I work with some really amazing people that are doing business models within really great real estate markets that are thriving in this environment, and they're really helping. They're helping with social housing, they're helping with all sorts of things, and they're helping people make double-digit returns in a monthly cash flow. So if your husband has, like my husband's lost his work, and so it's a really good supplement for if you've had a spouse or somebody lose some work, or both of you, and you have some money that you didn't really realize you had. You can get in these things, and and so that's what my book is about. So my book is about that, and then from there I coached, and I built a course and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I know that's not what we're talking about here, but
no, but I think it's good for people, especially a lot of my viewers are entrepreneurs, right? And when this happened, I think everybody kind of was blindsided by it, but then it's how do we look at it? How do we look at it in terms of, is it doom and gloom, or is there a perspective of, what, we can make this work. We can change our position perhaps, or how we deliver what we were delivering anyways. And I think the whole thing, and I think Wayne Dyer said this, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change, right? And so this is, I think, the optimal time for all of us to really work on our mindset to look at things differently, right? Because from that perspective, you're not in a panic mode. You're not coming from, behind the 8 ball where you're feeling like you're just stuck, right? So I think this is why I wanted you on, because you have such a good way of positioning things and looking at things, even though, it's of course your husband has lost his job, and that is it's not that's not positive news, right? But just from you talked to me yesterday about it, that he gets to spend time with your son now that he didn't when earlier when he was working, right?
Yeah, he was going to be on the road for 6 weeks almost straight. We were going to pop over to Scotland for 10 days to so that we could roll that over his 5th birthday and go visit some castles and do that. But that obviously got all canceled.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's actually quite beautiful because they're getting out every single day. They're going for bike rides. They're skateboarding. I get my mornings. I get up and I I spend time with them in the morning and get to do my fun stuff before my day starts at 10. And then I join them in the evening. And meanwhile, they're tuckered out from going and doing a bunch of things. So it's really nice. And
that also helps in terms of your son's mindset, right? Like if he's around two parents that are extremely stressed out, worried, and constantly kind of thinking of, well, oh my God, you know, the sky is falling, he's seeing a different perspective, because then now you're cultivating his mindset as a young child of how you're dealing with stress.
Oh, he's loving it. He has no school. I mean, he misses his friends. He did say to me yesterday that he really misses his friends and stuff. But, you know, he's loving having both of us around and all the adventures. I took him out bushwhacking and, you know, brought my compass from when I used to pick mushrooms in the Queen Charlotte Islands, and was teaching him how to read the compass. And we just have a lot of fun. And the other thing is that's been really, there's two things I kind of wanted to touch on. One of the things that we sort of talked about briefly yesterday, and I really wanted to express to your viewers, is when this first started happening, I had some negative, you know, I was like everybody, we're like, what is this? And what is China doing? And now we're going to have to do that. What's happening in Italy? I mean, it was, you know, obviously as this rolled out, there was a lot of, you know, sort of unease and uncertainty. Mm-hmm. There still is uncertainty and there's panic. And I was talking to a few people and they were like, oh, we're shutting down. And then of course I have that in my house where, you know, just every day losing all these gigs. And then I sort of, you know, reached out to my network of people, and mostly women, and they are hustling. They are like, what problem? There's no problem. There's just challenges. A challenge accepted, and let's do this. Like solution-driven people that are pumped and they are working at it, and they are like, this is the time. We can educate. We can do this. We can, you know, buy 8 houses this week and help provide houses for social assistance, and we can do this and we can do that. And so I'm so grateful and fortunate because of the women that are around me, and I'm in these mastermind groups. I also jump on a lot of, you know, realtor gatherings. A lot of the realtors who were active doing like monthly meetings and things like that. I'm on one tonight, which I can put the link in. It's a Vancouver one and Vancouver area one, and just great information. They have mortgage brokers in there. They talk about you know, everything that's going on, and you know, how they're handling their deals, how people are getting, you know, signing contracts and going to notaries, and what the workaround is, and everybody's working around stuff, right? And just trying to deal with this. And those are the people who I align with. Those are the people who I want to talk to and spend my time with. I can't talk to people that are like, I should, la la la, because that just like it really knocks me down. And you know, I have a lot of empathy for people that are panicked and have fear, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But you know, if I can help in any way, that's really what I'm looking for.
And I think that's something really important you touched on, is who are you associating with during this time, right? It's like if you're around people that are just always in that negative mindset of the sky is falling, then you fall within that vibration. But if you are amongst people that are hustling and you're talking positivity and what is the solution, not really looking so much at the problem, but trying to find the solution, I think then you are also motivated and pumped up, right? Because you feed off that vibration. And I talk a lot about, you know, the whole idea of keeping our vibration up and what frequency are we attracting. So I think that is key for all of us, not just entrepreneurs, is aligning with people that are talking the talk that you want to be a part of, that will empower us, as opposed to the other way, right? So I think that's key, is find that network, find a person, a group of people, or, you know, whoever is in your network that you resonate with, that is taking that road as opposed to the other road, right? Because we all have a choice. All of us have a choice in which road we're going to take. Right?
Oh yeah, exactly. And you know, I'll give you 2 examples of people that I mean, I've got my real estate people, obviously, and they're just hustling because it's an essential service, as you know, and they're out there doing their thing. But I mean, just like I take a look at our publisher, Jerry Robert, with Black Card Books, and it's like his whole thing is big stage, audiences and groups and gathering, and he's on. I mean, he's been on the road constantly throughout 2019 and into 2020, and now he's grounded. So he's having to like rethink the way he's doing it. So he's just like, okay, we're going to use new tools. We're going to do this. We're going to do that, so that we can still reach our audience. And then the other story I want to share, which is it kind of rolls into what we're doing with our son as a kidpreneur. And I've been very inspired by kidpreneur programs for a very long time. And I was a kidpreneur, didn't really realize, because we didn't really have that language back in the 70s and 80s, but I was definitely a kidpreneur. My parents got us doing all those things like delivering papers and sweeping parking lots for my grandpa. And the other thing was I used to, collect golf balls because we lived across the street from the golf course, and sell them back to the golfers. And so little things like that, just very, business minded at a young age. And I wanted to provide something for my son. I was very inspired in watching this family, Unstoppable Family, for a number of years on YouTube and watching their stuff. And they do, marketing and agency work and all this kind of stuff. Anyways, they've been traveling for about 12 years. They have a little girl named Hannah-Lay. And Hannah-Lay is 12 now. But when she was about 8, they asked her, well, what do you want to do now? Not what do you want to do when you grow up? And I love that question, because this girl is so inspiring. I mean, she's published a book. She's got a kidpreneur program where she teaches other kids how to become kidpreneurs. And she was like the keynote speaker at Burning Man last year. She's got her own fashion line, and she's like a serious fashion designer. New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week. She has 4 collections. She has a studio with sewers. She's 12 years old. Anyways, what inspired me about, Ocean Ambassador, everything. So she uses these sustainable materials like bamboo and no dyes and that kind of stuff. But what inspired me in this pandemic moment was that, they were very sad. They live in Bali and they had to lay off their sewers. And then she got this idea, well, can we make masks? Can we make some bamboo masks, like non-medical grade, but like, something to help people, right? And then we're employing people. Well, they've turned this around. They're now employing 100 Balinese workers to make these 2-ply masks, and they have 3-ply cotton masks. And I thought, well, maybe we could buy, from them, and then we could sell them here locally, because we're starting to get to that point where, it's going to be required to go into stores. It's definitely happening. You're seeing a lot of that come out of the States right now. And that is, they are being instructed more like within Canada to start doing that for going to stores. So long story short, within a matter of no time, they're like, we'll get the sales page, we'll do this, we'll do that, boom, I've got an order in, it's being sewn, it's on its way. and then we've launched this kidpreneur program for our son, and he's going to be part of it and help out. I mean, he's just turned 5, so he'll probably be doing more like the packaging and helping out and doing whatever it is that he can involve himself in. It's a start. And I'm so excited about it, because we're going to be able to provide masks. And then I also want to have the giving back component to the whole model, so that we're giving $2 per mask to the food bank. And then when we sell it into the United States, it'll go to Feed America. So it's a really cool thing,
right? And again, how you're looking at it, how you're involving the family, your son, because at this point in time, you've got time in terms of being home with him. I know you've always worked from home, but your husband is there. So, involving him in creating that mindset right from now. So hopefully in our lifetime, there's not going to be another pandemic, right? But you're preparing him how to deal with just stress as stress happens and things come up. And I think it's a beautiful story about the Unstoppable Family, where they've trained their daughter to think that way, right? And now at 12, I mean, she's doing way more than perhaps others that are, entrepreneurs at 40, right? So it's, again, it's all part of, it starts in the mind, I think, before you can actually create anything. I mean, I think involving, as people are home now, to think outside the box. I've been saying this all last week, is how do we think outside the box, right? Yes, our children are home. Yes, they have to be homeschooled, but you can excite them about certain things. Maybe they can give back in some way from their own perspective, right? So I think that's a very beautiful point you raised today, is involve the kids, find out what they want to do, what is their passion, right? This is the time to figure it out, because we have the time to spend with them.
Yeah, exactly. And to have my son, like, for, in terms of self-care and stuff, I mean, I, both my husband and I, we rode bike, and then I was kind of getting into, in the beginning, I was getting into just skipping. So I was like, had my skip rope, and I was doing, okay, I'm going to add 100 skips a day. And he would sit there on my son would sit there on the couch, and he would say, I believe in you, Mom. I have to do 1,000 skips. And it was so fun. And I mean, he says that because I say that to him. We say that to him every day. I believe in you, proud of you. Look at what you're doing. Like, this is, and really try to eliminate the word can't. He still says it sometimes, gets in frustration. He can't ride his bike up the hill. He's like, I can't do this. And I'm like, you're not allowed to say that word when you're with Mom. You're not, it's not, stop. It's, I am Hunter B. I can do anything. And that's really what we really try to, get that into his mindset, so that he's, he's carrying a positive, I can try. I mean, I was pushed by my parents in a way when I was a kid. I was like, wow, like you just didn't, get off your bike and push it up the hill. It's like, you pushed through that, you got that, you rode that bike up that hill, you finished that race, you paced yourself, and you sprinted at the end until you were hyperventilating. And, that really was, I look back on that, and I'm so grateful that, that I was pushed in that way, because that is really how I still function today. I push through, I keep going.
And again, becomes part of our DNA, right? So I always say the difference between the word can and can't is one letter, right? So it's really about training, not just, I mean, yes, if we have children, to start young and make sure that that's in their vocabulary, but even for ourselves, as we are going through this as adults, even though we may perhaps have had different backgrounds, different experiences, different styles of lifestyle when we were growing up, we can change. Anything can be changed, even starting now, right? Like, it's not something like, well, that's just the cards that were laid out for me, and now I'm programmed this way. That program can be changed, right? And it can start today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yes.
So you know what? I think this has been amazing. I want to thank you. I think you shed some light in terms of perspective, and being an entrepreneur at this time is maybe a big blessing for those of us who are in already knowing what we're wanting to do, or doing what we're, our mission is. And for those who are even just thinking about it, this is a great place to be right now, because now it's more impact, it's more mission driven. It's like, who do you want to serve? Like, if you've lost your job and you're thinking, I want to become an entrepreneur, I've always wanted to start a business, you can really think of it from a perspective of, what is the impact you want to have? Who's the audience you want to serve, and what is that mission you want to accomplish? It's the legacy, right, that we want to leave behind. So I think it's a great time in our history to be able to be given this type of opportunity to come out of the ashes, right? Like, it's just kind of for us to bloom. So thank you for your time. Is there any parting words that you can share with the audience that will help them as they move along?
It's time to roll up your sleeves, get educated on things. Education, it's at our fingertips. It's everywhere. Just figure out what it is that you want to do and how you want to spend your time. Obviously it's, it is time to have self-care and reflect, but, shutting down and just, is not the time to do it. And take care and call those people that are living on their own. There's a lot of mental illness. I've already had, one of my dear friends and active investors that I deal with has lost his son, from mental illness. And And it's, you know, it's call those people and make sure that they're okay. Let them know you're thinking of them and that they're here, because they're alone and isolated. You just don't know what's going on. So, you know, please, please, please reach out to those people and be there for them. Yeah. And make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are out there just thinking differently and accepting the challenge and have a solution-driven mindset, because that is what lifts you up every day, to be surrounded by that. It's incredible. And there's lots of groups. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So today's hashtag, I'm going to say hashtag challenge accepted. I think if you're watching this, whether it's on replay or not, let's hashtag challenge accepted, because I think we're all going to come out of this much better as we change how we look at it. So thank you, Jodi, so much. I don't think that you can go back to bed now, but
no, they're all up.
with the family, and have a wonderful week. I will talk to you again soon. And thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Thanks for having me, Nasira. It was so lovely to see you.
Thank you. So people, this was something that I was so excited to share with you in terms of somebody who is, as an entrepreneur, changing how she's looking at things. So I am so grateful that you're all here. If you're watching it on replay, hashtag replay. And again, today's hashtag will be challenge accepted. So please, let's make that our motto today. Enjoy your day. I will see you again soon, tomorrow, actually, at 10 a.m. with Kim Van Ryn. So I'll see you then. Take care. Bye.